5 days later, after the initial order, the order that stated that Vinesh Phogat's plea was dismissed for silver and to restore her medal, whatever if she had it, the main order has been released. The detailed order by Court of Arbitration for Sports has been released. What were the parameters by which Vinesh Phogat was not allowed to get a medal and why the plea was dismissed? It happened on 14th, right?
Yeah.
So 5 days later, we have actually gotten the entire verdict. 24 pages, somewhat about close to 130 points were made by the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Now, in the detailed verdict that we at Sports Today have got, there are some key points that has to be raised here. The key things that the Court of Arbitration for Sports had to look into. So, without further ado, let us see what was the first major point. Court of Arbitration for Sports made it painfully clear. There is no dispute that the applicant, in this case Vinesh Phogat, was above the weight limit.
And specifically, they're talking about the second weigh-in, which was basically on the day of a gold medal bout, and a weight, and that particular time was above 50 kgs, and it was 52.
Yep. She gave the above weight directly, and if you look at it, the evidence clearly and directly at the hearing.
Yes.
Her case is that the amount of excess was 100 grams, and that a tolerance should apply, as this is a small excess and explicable for reasons such as drinking water and water retention, in particular during the premenstrual phase. Yes. Now, this is a very important thing. Now, why can't in a premenstrual phase, especially for women, be given a 100-gram tolerance? Now, that would have thrown the sport of wrestling into total chaos. There has always been an argument, and rightfully so. If the medal was given to Vinesh on these kind of grounds, then wrestling would have descended into anarchy. For one simple reason, there are rules in place and you have to follow the rules.
And they are for everyone.
They are there for everyone. And for one simple reason, rules are there to be mended in a particular sense. Vinesh, if she was fighting on the rules alone, she stood no chance in the Court of Arbitration for Sports. She tried the human angle, the emotion angle, and that's why premenstrual phase. That was very important, but the Court of Arbitration of Sports did not buy into that.
Yeah.
Now, the second major thing that you have to look at it.
That was basically the procedure through which all the weigh-ins usually take place when it comes to the wrestling event at single Olympics. So the pointers that are usually being talked about are that for all competitions, the weigh-in is organized each morning of the concerned weight category. So whether it's 50, 52 or 53, same is the case with everyone. Secondly, the second morning of the concerned weight category, only the wrestlers who participate in the repecharges and finals have to come for the weigh-in. This weigh-in will last for 15 minutes. And when they talk about the second day of the morning, it's usually the series of matches that take place, which is usually the final for the gold medal bout, and the remaining are for the repechage rounds, which is basically for the bronze medal.
Now, the third point is important. The only uniform allowed for the weigh-in is the singlet. No weight tolerance will be allowed. So that is why even the singlet is considered in this particular instance, and we had all stated in the previous lives also as to throughout the entire weigh-in period, which is 15 minutes, you can get on the scale as many times as you want. If an athlete does not attend or fail the weigh-in, this is the point where Vinesh fell absolutely foul of it.
Yeah.
If an athlete does not attend or fail the weigh-in, he will be eliminated from the competition. Rank last without rank. Article 11 of the UWW rules clearly mentions that. Now, the first observation. Now, these are the three observations upon which Vinesh Phogat's plea was dismissed.
Yeah.
Observation number one is that compliance with the rules regarding the weigh-in is necessary for eligibility to compete. Wrestling, that is why you have weight categories. You cannot just go and say, oh, I'm 100 grams, please give me the tolerance. Then what about the other wrestler who worked hard to ensure he or she was 50
They fell within
grams?
the permissible limit.
They fell within the permissible limits. In India, the problem is that you want to mend the rules for all emotional thing and your victim mentality comes in. But the rule is very clear here.
So yeah, let's just go through the rule once again. A decision to eliminate an athlete who fails the weigh-in for a category is not a field of play decision, but a decision as to eligibility.
Eligibility. Vinesh Phogat fell clearly foul of the eligibility criterion. You are 0.1 or even 0.01 overweight, you are not eligible. So that's why the DQ was mandated. UWW submits that the issue presented is a pure field of play decision. It has happened with the structure and during the field of play, and that is why the application is inadmissible. But here, the sole arbitrator does not agree. This is not a decision during competition such as an umpire or referee. This is a decision that an athlete is not eligible to compete in because she is not within the mandated weight. So remember one major thing. It is eligibility. Vinesh did not fall under the field of play. That means during the entire system. Yep. Second observation is that women's wrestling is divided. We all know the categories 50-53 kilos. The third observation is that this is the key factor and where Vinesh's entire case fell flat.
The rules provide for a strict compliance with the weight categories. Thus, only the uniform to be worn is the singlet, and no weight tolerance is given for the 50 kg limit, while a 2 kg weight tolerance is allowed only for the international tournaments. The rules state that no more weight tolerance will be allowed for the second weigh.
Now this was the one part where a lot of fake news peddlers pointed out that, oh, but how come a 2 kilo thing is allowed? Boss, World Wrestling Championships and any UWW mandated has that 2 kilo weight tolerance. But hold on, for which one? First weigh-in, not for the second weigh-in before the final. So Vinesh can't be over 100 grams even for the second weigh-in. 2 kilos is permissible for the first weigh-in, not for the second weigh-in. So this should be considered providing that there is no weight tolerance for the second weigh-in. That is, the maximum weight for category 1 is 50 kilo. Maximum, not minimum. Maximum is 50 kilo. 50.01, straight disqualification. The applicant at IOH submitted that she was only 100 grams over the weight limit seemed to be assume a tolerance for the second weigh-in, such that the maximum allowed weight was not 50 kilos but some indeterminate higher amount. IOA and the rest of the Indian public were like telling, please exceed it to 50.1. But then UWW's arguments are absolutely spot on. They said, today it will be 50.1, next day they'll say 50.2, 50.3. Increase the weight and then ensure that there is anarchy in wrestling then. So, this was the main thing. 2 kilo weight tolerance is for UWW international events, including the Olympics, but not for the second weigh-in. That's the key rule. Now this is the conclusions. There is no dispute that the applicant failed the second weigh-in. No one is disputing that. Yes, she failed 100 grams. There is no thing, there's no such doubts being cast about the weights, about the eligibility of the weights, nothing.
It did not fall within the permissible limit. Let's be clear about it. In that, her weight was in the excess of the 50 kg limit, as we said. Her case is in the sense that this is a small excess and can be explained by factors such as the menstrual cycle, water retention, the need to hydrate, and insufficient time to reduce her weight by reason of the travel time to the athlete's village. The problem for the athlete is that the rules are clear as to the weight limit and are same for all the participants. There is no tolerance provided for it, be it the men's wrestling or women's wrestling. The rules are same for every event.
It is clearly up to an athlete to ensure that they remain below that limit. IOA couldn't do anything about it. Whatever conspiracy theorists were doing, they had their views, they had their moment in the sun. But here we are telling you the blunt, simple rule. If Vinesh got the medal, it would have been disastrous for wrestling. For one simple reason. Look, I weighed in at 100 grams on day 1. Day 2, let me do it. It's a fresh competition. No, it's one competition that is spread to 2 days.
Yes.
So, for example, in a cricketing terminology, if I have to say,
I
have scored 230. Oh, no. Second day, I want to start all over again. That is the terminology which Vinesh is wanting to say. So, that is why this particular thing, there is no tolerance provided. The rules are clear to the weight limit. Vinesh stood no chance at this point. There is no dispute that the applicant failed the second weigh-in. Her case in excess and all that we have done. The problem for that rules are clear. The athlete asked that the appeal decision be set aside, that the consequences for an Article 11 of the rules not be applied for. Okay. It is not in contest that the athlete failed the second weigh-in is not challenged. So nothing of the process, nothing of the weigh-in procedure is challenged. The athlete is asked that the weight limit provided for in the rules be varied to accommodate her personal circumstances of the day. Now this is disastrous. It would have set a very dangerous precedent in wrestling if that had happened. So no quantification of permissible tolerance was suggested. The problem for the applicant is that there is no basis in the rules for such accommodation.
Yes.
50 kilograms maximum. Those three words are enough.
To the contrary, the rules are clear that the 50 kg weight limit is just that, a limit. There's no personal accommodation or discretion provided for.
Yes.
Yep.
The athlete passed the weigh-in on the first day, but she was also obliged to pass it on the second day, the day of the final. It was the athlete's obligation.
Yeah.
So that is why Vinesh is saying, oh, if I weighed, I was within the weight, I was excess in that, still give me the medal. No, you had to maintain it. That is the real challenge. Maintain the weight throughout. So by reason of the application, she was eliminated from the competition and ranked last without rank. This precludes the awarding of a silver medal. Even though her performance on the first day of the competition ensured that she would have at least achieved a silver medal, she maintains that she remained eligible and qualified to be awarded a silver medal, and that her successful weigh-in on one morning was also applicable for the competition the next day. No. A DQ is a DQ. Now many people were applying logic. Oh, but Lopez defeated the other two.
Yes.
No. Let me please bust this myth around. Okay. Lopez lost in the semi-final. There is a difference between a disqualification and a loss. DQ means you are eliminated direct and you are given first rank. So whoever is there will be elevated. It's clear in Article 14 subclause 9. Whoever has been eliminated in the disqualified athletes bracket, they will get one place up. That is clear-cut written in the UWW rules.
And the athlete acknowledges that under the rules, she was replaced in the final round of the competition by the wrestler who lost against her in the semi-final, and that both gold and silver medals were awarded. She does not ask that any other wrestler lose a medal, but seeks a second or a joint silver medal. There is no basis on which the sole arbitrator can grant the relief sought to award a silver medal to the applicant, and that's what I think the Vinesh had appealed for, a joint silver medal, but then it was not.
It was looking very awkward. I mean, how on earth can you avoid a joint silver? It meant that the American defeated both of them.
Yep.
And that is how, when you look at it, it seems that, okay, I settle for a joint silver. You can get a joint bronze. Now, this verdict should leave no doubt whatsoever. Okay. The IOA, myth number one, which has been busted. IOA are responsible for this. No. The obligation to maintain the weight when it comes to wrestlers is on the wrestler herself. Premenstrual and all these other kind of things, the wordings of he/she is inconsistent. It can be applicable to anybody. Maximum weight is maximum weight. So myth number two, that also has been dispelled. Like, oh, a 2 kilo tolerance was allowed. Not for the second weigh-in, my friend. People in the heat of the moment are readily wanting conspiracy theories. And that is what we did in the Vinesh Phogat case. Too many conspiracy theories. Nothing changes the fact. Whoever peddled the lies, give Vinesh silver, give Vinesh this, they didn't know the rules. And you want to apply logic into it. Simple fact. Why couldn't anybody take Article 14 subclause 9? For one simple reason, it didn't suit the narrative for them. Article 14 subclause 9 of UWW was clear. Anybody who is disqualified, and UWW had the right to disqualify Vinesh. It happened. If Vinesh had gotten the medal based on a 100-gram tolerance, wrestling as a sport would have been finished. And that is why now with the CAS verdict, everybody will now gain on the sympathy band. Oh, Vinesh is a heroine, and yes, she's done well, she's done excellently well. But when it mattered the most, she could not maintain the weight.
And that's why I think primarily that's what even Siddharth and I were discussing a few days back, that why the Court of Arbitration for Sport took really a lot of time to make that final decision, because sometimes it really happens that you want to cover all the bases so that there are no loopholes attached to it. And that's where, you know, the report that has been, the detailed report that has been released by the CAS now clearly shows that, you know, all the points have been like subjectively covered, which clearly proves that Vinesh's final weight on the gold medal bout was obviously the fault of her only, as it has been said in the rules, and that's why she was not awarded a joint silver medal.
So one hopes that this is the end of this chapter. I mean, it's been a very painful one.
But it might not be, because the IOA in their report have clearly said that they are going to take a look at different legal routes.
If the IOA does that, it is foolhardy. Because for one simple thing, the fault lay with Vinesh's team. The fault lay with the fact that, okay, you did not have time. I'll tell you, see, Vinesh at this point in time, she didn't have time for ensuring that the body adjusted to the weigh-in. I'll tell you why. She just had 5-6 months. The American wrestler Sarah Hildebrandt took 2 years. But Vinesh couldn't afford those 2 years, because for one simple reason. What happened in Patiala was a clear-cut hint of desperation. And desperation can often lead to a lot of mistakes. She has to look back at Patiala. If she had not done what she did in Patiala, the WFI laid out a red carpet for Vinesh. Siddharth. Rules were flouted in Patiala. According to UWW rules, Vinesh shouldn't even have been in Paris, because you can't compete in 2 weight categories.
Exactly.
53 and 50, and remarkably in 6-7 hours you had lost 3 kilos to be eligible for 50. That is the main problem. You flouted the rules in Patiala, and then you allowed Vinesh to come, because Antim, you couldn't snatch away her quota place because she won it legitimately in the World Wrestling Championships in Serbia. Now in the 50 kilo, you had reached the final, but then you had the onus to maintain the weight. She didn't do it. She tried. The body refused. 100 grams. You can kill me, but I'm not going to reduce the 100 grams.
True.
And you also did a package, Siddharth, about how the coach was saying that maybe Vinesh could have died for all the medical malpractices that have been suggested.
That's what a coach had, Waller specifically mentioned, that, you know, they tried almost everything. Later he deleted that post from social media, but one of his biggest fears in that was that Vinesh Phogat might die, and that's why they didn't really opt for any of the other practices that could have possibly reduced their weight to another 100 grams.
You know, that is the thing. It was a simple agreement of the rules.
Exactly.
You just had to know the rules. But Indian social media doesn't react like that. Indian conspiracy theorists don't act like that. Indian intelligentsia doesn't act like that. They want to conveniently peddle certain narratives. Here in Sports Today, we have been saying that yes, rules are rules. Every live you can check back on, I've said getting a medal is difficult but not impossible, but difficult is the word I stressed upon. And now unfortunately with Vinesh that has happened. So the CAS verdict has ended. If IOA decides to go for any legal routes, they are wasting their time and resource on it. Because the precedent for wrestling has been set, you can't change the rules.
True.
If you change, it will result in an identity crisis for wrestling then. Thank you so much folks for joining us for this live. Me and Sir, we'll be back with more updates on Sports Today, and tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today, and also don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.